Morning. Couple of seconds early, but hey ho. Itchy trigger finger this morning. I'm feeling a wee bit fresher this morning, folks. Behaved myself on Discord last night. Went to my bed for about 1 o'clock, which is a miracle considering Roisin was in. A fascinating lady. Keep you up chatting all night. So, a wee bit fresher this morning. Just maybe a second, get Facebook on board. Okay, that's Facebook on board. Good morning, everyone. We're up at the 50 mark. So once we get the first Facebooker in the chat, we'll get underway. Morning Rosie, morning Kirsty, morning Robert, morning Stella, morning last Braveheart. Who else we got? Eddie, Ange, Alistair, Mark, Stephen, Jeanette. Hi Graham. Hi Henry. Morning mate. Interesting thing about most of these names here. I've met most of these for a good few years anyway. Right, we any Facebookers on board? Let's scroll down the chat. Good morning, Regan Away. Enjoyed your programme. Right, any Facebookers in you? Come on. Nope, no Facebookers in you. Better check and make sure it's went public. That's a bit unusual. Yep, definitely public. Oh well, can't wait about any longer, folks. So it's Indie Talk Davy. Oh, we're the first one in. Timing's perfect. So it's Indie Talk Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is a damp, wet, warm, dark, and blowing a bloody hoolie. So that's the weather here in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what it's like where you are? Look out your rain bloody windy. And Harry, here it's pretty warm in Glasgow this morning as well. Anyway, it's 11 degrees, folks. Wow, mental. Right, anyway, first up this morning. You'll not be surprised at any of these headlines for the first few papers, folks. But let's get it up. First up this morning is the Daily Fail, and it's got, as ministers refuse compensation for 3.8 million WASPy women hit by pension age changes, despite a string of firm promises to help. Betrayal that proves Labour cynically said anything to get elected. I can't argue with that headline today. And David and I in our programmes were telling people that this was just bollocks. Promised to get rid of the two-child cap, still here. Promised to compensate the WASPy women, they ain't getting a dime. And he's make matters worse. Now we'll get to the next headline before we go into did make matters worse, shall we? Anyway, next up. Next up, we'll go to the National. And what's the National got this morning? Well, the National's got a crap headline actually, because if you only just looked at that WASPy shame, you would think it was the WASPy women that were being shamed. So come on, National. Pull your socks up, get yourself in gear. Anyway, the byline is Starmer and Sarwar under fire as pension women to get no payout. Labour ministers suggest that the Scottish Government should come up with the cash and give the WASPy women here in Scotland a compensation scheme. Well, you know something? I don't think that's a bad idea. So if John can come up with the cash, then he should do it. But if he can't come up with all the cash, let's get a number worked out for how much it would be to compensate them, and then let's have an appeal. And whatever's raised in the appeal, then the Scottish Government can top it up or double it. Let's do this, John. Let's do this, people. Let's shame Westminster to hell. These women paid in to their pension. They're due that money. As far as I'm concerned, it's breach of contract. It's breach of contract. As for pensions, it's no benefit. It isn't. It's not called the National Insurance Scheme for nothing. And it's got a surplus of over 500 billion quid in the National Insurance Scheme, of which the UK government gets to take 20% a year to spend on whatever they want. But a surplus of 500 billion, and they're trying to tell us that 10.4 billion is too much to pay out to these women. Now, you don't have to believe me, you can Google the National Insurance surplus here in the UK, and it'll come up on the government website. I should add that up for you, but it's only just came to mind. But the idea that the Scottish Government should have to compensate these women when it was Westminster that collected their money, it's an outrageous suggestion for Labour to have made. But now they've made it, like, come on, John. Let's find some cash. Let's shame them to hell. Next up, the Winnie Rag Express has: Labour have betrayed our OAPs time after time. One of the things that people forget is the alteration to the pension age and the lack of communication to these women 30 years ago. It was a Labour government. It was Tony Blair. Right. The Scotsman is the same sort of story, but a lighter touch on the headline. And that is Labour slated for betrayal over pensions compensation. But you know, the Scotsman values its unionist credentials, so it wouldn't be hard on the Labour Party. That gets more interesting when we get to the record. The Times says Labour MPs rebel over new blow to pensioners. Aye, true enough. And the Rancid, the Daily Record, that is an interesting story today. But to avoid the headline about Labour, because that Rancid rag is Labour to the core, and it helped get Labour MPs elected here in Scotland, that Rancid rag. But anyway, what it's got is Reform Scot sacked over terror link. Now, this is a story that the Reform UK organiser here in Scotland, a guy called Craig Campbell, has been sacked by Reform UK because of his links to terrorism. Apparently, his father was a commander in the UVF, and his cousin is in the clink for slitting a Celtic supporter's throat. These people's knuckles drag that far along the ground that it might not occur to them that the Celtic supporter might not have been a Catholic. Bloody knuckle draggers. I can't put their answers up because I just don't. But if you pass a newsstand today and their answer's there, have a look at this guy. He looks as if his knuckles are dragging off the ground. John, you're a gentleman, but we know that you're a real friend. You know, so thank you very much, John. And I hope hope she's fine. Yeah, a wee Xmas gift for the wains. Merry Christmas to my friends and the wee barras. Thanks, John, you're a gentleman. So, is it any surprise that this right-wing knuckle-dragger was the Scottish organiser for Reform UK? Right, the Sun runs on an SNP bad story. And ex-FM spoke to fraud techs, Salmon help cops in Nick probe. Let me fix that headline for the Sun. And here's the truth of it, in a language that people can understand to be true. Okay. So, former First Minister interviewed by cops. Mr. Salmon interviewed in SNP finance probe. That's the correct headline for that paper. Because Nicola has not been investigated. It's the SNP's finances that have been investigated. It's just that herself, her husband, and Colin Beattie were the people who looked after the finance of the party. But it's no Nick or Nicola Sturgeon, former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, who's been investigated. It's a probe into the SNP's finances. I'd like to see a probe into the Conservative finances, and I would like to see a probe into Labour finances. Right. Okay, the Herald runs on. A weird one today. It's also meant to be an SNP bad story, but we'll get to that back in a minute. We'll put the Herald up. Here we go. The Herald, building of homes at lowest in decade amid crisis. Fears over affordable housing. Okay. Now, what's interesting about that is they're blaming the Scottish Government for it. But actually, it's quite a sort of checkered picture. Now, when it comes to the SNP government and house building, well, the SNP government built 9,514 affordable homes. That was completed in 2023, 2024, which is the latest figures. And that was with an 11% cut to the Scottish budget since 2016. Think about that. The Scottish budget's been slashed by 11% since 2016. Right? The Westminster only built 56,971 in the same time period. England has a population 11 times the size of Scotland. So if Westminster had kept pace with Scotland, it would have built 109,028 homes. But what they actually built, as I say, was only 56,971. So if they'd have kept per capita pace with Scotland, they would have built double that. But there is other, as I say, it's a checkered picture. At this point in time, really, the only people building here in Scotland are people who are building what they call affordable homes and the Scottish Government. We've had building companies go belly up because of what happened with Liz Truss and her budget, the skyrocketing inflation, Brexit, or shoving up expensive materials. And then, of course, there's the Bank of England and the interest rates being so high. Builders don't build. Sorry, property developers don't build. Technically, they don't build. They land bank. So that's what they're doing. The land banking at this point in time. Because you're not building houses you can't sell. And don't know whether the Herald's noticed it or no, but we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis. People are no moving unless they really have to. People who own their own homes at this time, if they need more space, they're going into their attics, they're building out the back. If they've got room, they're no moving. Not right now. With interest rates as high as they are, and people are not borrowing. Because when you go and get a mortgage, you're not borrowing at a base rate. You just aren't. You just no borrowing at a base rate. Banks don't make money if you're borrowing at a base rate. They've got their administration costs to cover and all that crap. Right, the Telegraph says, this one's a cracker. Musk ready to bankroll Farage. That's all. Musk, what does he want? Anyway, he's talking about giving Farage £78 million or $100 million for a tilt at number 10. Thank you for that super sticker, Angela. Baby Lemon looking up to our Lemon character standing in a superhero position. Well, that'd be an interesting little sticker. Right, anyway, thank you very much. I was sitting pondering this last night, and I'm saying, is Farage and his right wing cabal maybe a wee bit smarter than we thought? I mean, you've got Farage being bankrolled by the general public, and they're not joining a political party, because Reform isn't a political party. It's a limited company, or a public limited company, one or two. Anyway, I thought, 100 million quid, you can't get out of a political party, but you can get to a company. So you could. Farage is only going to issue him a handful of shares, and he can hold that out. And I thought, just pondering on it, I'm saying, the Brexit Party was a company and all. Different rules when it comes to donations and things like that, because it's a company. The Electoral Commission's got no say. And I thought, how long has the right been creeping with this idea of actually just buying our politics? And then I thought a wee bit more about it and how Trump went about his campaigns. Big donations, getting the members of the Republican Party to finance it, his cult group and all financing it. I thought, that's Farage on the back. Now, Donald Trump is basically just hostile takeover of the USA. But they're about to make it a hostile takeover of the UK as well. But whatever it is, this isn't politics, it's no political party. That's why the term hostile takeover came into my head. Because this is not a political party. And why are they being allowed to stand in elections if they are not a political party? I'm going to have to look at the rules and find out why this company is being allowed to stand candidates in elections, because that's basically what it is. Why is this company being allowed to stand in elections? If Farage's company can stand in elections, so could Asda, so could Walmart, so could Sainsbury's, so could Walker's Biscuits. This makes no sense, people. But it's scary. I mean, it's bad enough that the political parties have been bought out by power and influence, by a corporate takeover of politics. That's a fucking interesting one. So as I say, the Telegraph, that got me interesting. That got me interested when I seen that this morning. Talk this morning, when I took Sarah to work this morning, it was 13 degrees. Born a fucking hoolie right enough, it was 13 degrees. Okay. What's the I say this morning? The I says victory for victims of second post office IT scandal after 30 years of lies. So it would appear that those who were hit with the second wave of dodgy IT in the post office have now been recognised after 30 years of lies from the post office. So we've got another round of postmasters and sub-postmasters coming through looking for compensation. And it's been pointed out in the chat, this being Labour, they're probably getting fuck all. Nothing. But Starmer made pledges. Sorry, he made promises. Then pledges. Then he went on to missions. And now we're on milestones. And he's fucking knocked every one of them into long grass as he's spoken. The guy lied his way into power. He lied his way to the top of the Labour Party and then moved them right of the Conservatives, of traditional Conservatives. And he has lied all the way into Downing Street. And he's lied every single second of every single day since he entered Downing Street. We've got Bojo with combed hair in Downing Street, wearing the red rosette. But we have got another Boris Johnson at number 10. But the only difference is, this one's got his hair combed. The other difference is, we all knew Boris Johnson was a fucking liar. A cheat fraud. Starmer managed to keep it away from these people. Those of us who were observing the way he took over the Labour Party knew how he was going to be when he got into office. We knew he was a fucking liar. And we knew he'd lied his way to the top of the Labour Party. The members voted him in on a Jeremy Corbyn-esque 10 promises. Ah dear. In fact, I think this guy's worse than Johnson. This guy's a ruthless liar. Johnson would have balked at the idea of the Israelis killing 45, 50,000 Palestinian children and women. Johnson would have balked at that. Johnson would have stopped arming Israel, and he wouldn't have given a fuck what the Americans had to say about it, or the F-35 programme. Starmer's a ruthless fucker. He'll see your granny dead, he'll see your children starve, and he'll see the children of Palestine obliterated. We live in dark times. Really dark times. And it's to the shame of all the people on these islands that lying, heartless, ruthless monster is leading the UK. We here in Scotland have to take the blame as well. After all, there's 37 Scottish Labour MPs doing that fucking road. And it would appear that they have no moral backbone whatsoever. Anybody worth their salt after the election pledges they made here in Scotland about the two-child cap, the waspy woman, should be resigning for the Labour Party and standing as an independent at this point in time. How they're going to go back to their communities Thank you, Mr. E. You're a very generous man, Paul. Thank you. Lovely to chat to you the other night as well, mate. How these people are going to go back to their constituencies, I don't fucking know. I really don't. These 37 lying, fucking cheating, election stealing monsters. Absolute monsters. But Starmer, he's one scary motherfucker. Very, very scary. As I say, freeze your granny, stab your kids, and make you, me, and everybody else in these islands complicit in genocide and feel the weight of the responsibility of the deaths of 45, 50,000, 100,000 Palestinian innocents. Because we don't know what's under the rubble. And that's what's leading the UK right now. A monster. A monster. We really need to lighten the mood, because when I think about who's in number 10, it's get tooled up and sorted myself. I sit here and cry, and I'm afraid at my age it's the second option. Ah dear. What's the star goat for us today? Let's see if we can put a smile on my face, shall we? Well, Davey already knows, so he's already smiling. Here we go. Where do we start? Come on, you're here somewhere. Here we go. Wonky dog who looks like piece of modern art takes world by storm. Picasso. And that wee dog looks as if it's been smacked in the side of the head by a truck moving at 45 mile an hour. Poor wee thing. Oh dear. Oh, precious. But does look like a piece of modern art actually, and they put a frame around it. Aye. The poor wee creature, I wonder what happened to it. Huh? But usual star headline, you know, rubbish, but makes you smile. Right, folks. You've all been very, very generous today. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. So Labour betray the pensioners. Anybody surprised? No. And the SNP is not built enough houses. If Westminster had built anywhere near like the amount of houses that the Scottish Government have built in the last 14 years, then there wouldn't be a housing crisis. Because you've got to remember, there was no consequentials for these houses that the Scottish Government built. They built them with our money. Because there was no consequentials, because England wasn't building. Okay. Right, guys. That's it for the day. Back tomorrow, same time. I hope I'm feeling a wee bit better, because that was a downer the day. Already taken the winter fuel payment away, condemning 4,000 to death this winter. And Noni was condemning 4,000 to death this winter. That's what I mean when I say this man's a fucking horror. He is an absolute nightmare. He is dangerous. Imagine enacting a policy that you know would kill 4,000 of your own citizens a year going forward. Fucking shock.